AI is here, and it's going to change how we do real estate. Stay tuned to hear our thoughts and more. The Den, powered by the Lions Group, where we talk real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. We're a small team of partners sharing what we've learned along the way. Backed by over $500 million in real estate sales and over 2,300 successful transactions. You'll hear from proven experts and industry leaders with a fresh take on what's happening in real estate and beyond. Welcome to The Den. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Den. And today we're going to talk about AI and how it's going to change the landscape of real estate. But before I get into that, let me introduce my friends, my partners, my co-hosts, the fellow members of the Lions Group. To my right is an empty chair where Paul Hammy the Rockberry usually sits. He's not here with us today. Aspen the Ninja Gruen and the boss, Shannon Martin Martinez. My name is Ben, the real intelligence Lions. Thank you for that one, Shannon.
You're welcome.
She helped me out with that nickname. Instead of the artificial, I'm the real. But the real doesn't carry us very far. Or does it?
It's carried us this far.
It's carried us
That's
this
right.
far.
It's done pretty good.
So that's the question of today. And I think it's really important to talk about this because, you know, we hear about and we saw it unfold how Uber changed the entire taxi cab industry, right? Just flipped it on its head overnight. And one of the thoughts came to me the other day is how is AI going to change the landscape of real estate? And how do we as professionals navigate that? And how do you as a consumer or client navigate it as well? Can it enhance what we're doing? Is it going to replace what we're doing eventually? These are things that we need to talk about and consider as professionals. So that's the talking points today. In fact, there was a gentleman just to kick us off, there was a gentleman in Florida, and his name is Robert Levine, I believe. He's the CEO of a company. He went on to ChatGPT, created an entire marketing campaign for his property, built out his contracts, did all of his stuff, right, to market his home, and then ended up selling his property. But in his eyes, he sold it for more than what a realtor would have sold it for, and sold in 5 days, and said, that's it. This is the way of the future. So that is the talking point today. Is that really the way of the future? Are there things that are maybe left out of that story that still need the human component, obviously? And that's really the crux of our conversation today. How is real estate going to change? Because AI now is everywhere and it's only evolving. So it's not going away. Shannon, I'm going to come to you first. Great. In that particular situation, right? What are some of the things? Now, he was planning on doing an open house. Apparently, he got an offer before he went and did his open house. What are some of the things that, is this for everybody? Could every person go out and do exactly what this Robert Levine did?
No, I think Florida. The majority of people aren't tech savvy enough to do that. I think most people don't have the time, the knowledge to even use AI in that way to be able to do that.
Well, and that's a good point. A lot of people just, I even myself, right, using the platform, and I would say I'm fairly tech savvy. We've been through the age of the rotary phones all the way to where we are now. And we still feel like we're on the cusp, the leading edge of technology and how it's developing in real estate, right? So even for me, that would be kind of a difficult task to put together the entire package if I really didn't understand all the context to how real estate plays out, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust handling my own divorce through AI. I mean, yeah. I would still hire someone. Yeah. I would still hire an expert. I think most people would. Not everybody would be able to depend on it like that guy did.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. I mean, that is a good analogy. Even though you could.
Not that I'm getting a divorce. Yeah. I guess I need to clear that up. Yeah. I'm just saying, in theory.
Yeah, she loves you, Nick.
Yeah.
She still loves you. Get back on the tractor. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Or my tax situation. If I was being, investigated by the IRS, I wouldn't count on ChatGPT to figure it out for me. Any big, I guess my point is any big decision that I was making, I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't. Some people would.
Just put it out there. Now, in all fairness, I just kind of gave a quick rundown. In all fairness, he's a CEO of a company, and he challenged himself. I really want to try to do this entire process myself, start to finish. So like he set out on a mission, good, bad, or indifferent. That was his mission. Like he wanted to do that because the argument can be, there's a lot of people that just don't want to do it, right? I know I could go change my tires and put new tires on. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hire someone to do that part of it. I could get into a courtroom and negotiate with, in a divorce situation. Honey, love you. We're never getting a divorce. Right. But I'm just saying.
We're just using examples.
Just use examples. But I would never do it. Correct. I would hire an attorney to do it because I would trust their ability to navigate that process. Could I have a program that was set up by AI and tell me all the steps and do all the timeframes and everything I need to do? Sure, to help me maybe understand the process, but even understanding the process from start to finish, I still wouldn't want to do it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great analogy.
Hi, I'm Shannon, a partner at the Lions Group. We're dedicated to making your real estate experience the best it can be. If you're looking to buy or sell, go to sjcbroker.com and watch our informational video series. These videos break down the process and shed some light on buying or selling. While you're there, schedule a private consultation with one of our partners. We'd love to sit down, talk strategy, and give you the real advantage in today's market. You deserve the best, so take the steps, and we'll talk to you soon. Now back to the show.
Aspen, what are your thoughts? Are we missing anything here? I mean, I just gave a quick rundown. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're missing kind of the biggest factor, I think, but he still had a lawyer do his paperwork.
Right. He still, at the end of the day, had a human being look over and give him advice.
Exactly. That was my first question, was like, okay, well, what lawyer did his stuff? And it is, you can market anything. And I think AI is used in very kind of few aspects in real estate right now. Right now, we're seeing it with like virtual staging, I think is probably one of the biggest. Writing listing descriptions, which don't even get me started on that, because the amount of times I've seen incorrect information because people aren't reading it over and editing it afterwards. Because
nestled
and, a gourmet kitchen. I'm like, there's a stove and a fridge. What are we saying here? Yeah. Like, give me a break. And it needs to be redone. So there's just a lot of stuff that ChatGPT is great in giving you the broad. You need to go in there and you need to refine it. So there's the pictures where they're coming in and virtually staging it. They are adding in, the listing description. And then I think the third thing, which is a little bit less used, is texting virtual assistants. I think those are the kind of the big things that we see AI in real estate right now. And I think it's good for what it is, but you still have to go in there and you still have to tweak it. And I think a lot of people are just trusting it as it is. And I don't think it's fail proof at all. I can't think of anything actually that I would trust ChatGPT over a human. Maybe to like do some of the quick work, like, write up this much or do some of these equations. But I'll tell you, I've put stuff into ChatGPT equation wise and it's been incorrect. It's given me the wrong information.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, they're looking at a million different pieces of information to come up with a solution for you. But the information they're getting, I mean, it's only as good as what they're getting. So like we were looking at some examples a while ago about some erroneous advertising that was going on. And if you ask ChatGPT, it will tell you that is factual because it's scrubbing it from a place that was publishing inaccurate information.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So it is pulling information off of there, but it's only as, there's not that human set of eyes that's logically deducing what you can believe or what is real. Or it's just like when we talk about the automated valuations, they still don't walk in your house.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they don't know that, if you've never kept up your maintenance on their house, they don't know that if you put, a brand new gourmet kitchen in there, or you don't have that in there, they can't possibly be human eyes. AI is so great in so many ways to assist humans, not to replace them.
Yeah. I was actually just having this conversation with a friend the other day because I am not opposed to AI, but I think AI is way too unregulated right now. I think it's using way too much energy. There's things I think from like, not to get too into it, but like a child safety standpoint, I really do not like AI in that regard. There's just a lot of stuff that I'm like, there needs to be way more regulations put on this. It's kind of just a free for all right now. And I'm like, why are we using energy to create these like pictures? I really like the human aspect. I think we're getting so far away from human, interaction. And I think I'm really seeing it with younger generations, even my age a little bit, but mainly a little bit younger because I still didn't have, social media and stuff whenever I was younger. It wasn't there until I was like in late middle school, early high school. And I'm like, man, it's so important to just get out and talk to people.
Yeah.
And all of these programs are just making it automated. And I was having a discussion with a friend because I had got on Xfinity to try and talk about my pricing for my internet had just slowly crept up over the last 7 years. And AI started, it was about a bot I was talking to, but it was okay because I was like, okay, this is actually great. It's, giving me my options to lower the price. It's quick. It's, really efficient. But then it was kind of trying to trick me a little bit into getting something because I was like, is this thing an additional cost? Because if so, I don't want it. No, it's included in the cost. Okay, great. Then they sent over the contract and I'm like, it is an additional cost. Mm-hmm. AI was lying to me because it doesn't have the, that ethical thing there. And I said, I said this was misinformation. It is an additional cost. And it started turning into a sentient type of thing, being like, you're going to get this bot fired. Be careful about what you say because I said misinformation. And I instantly was like, oh, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
And popped off. So I don't like that. And that's what I was talking to my friend about.
You're going to get this bot fired.
I'm like, okay. And don't try and make me feel bad for this. It was very creepy. Like I didn't feel good. It felt like very manipulative. And so, but my friend's like, but what if it can cure cancer? I think that's always what we hear, right? Like, what if this thing, okay, it's not going to do it from an Xfinity chat though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like AI, but I hope it doesn't replace the human interactions.
Well, I think the pendulum swings, right? So we have this big pendulum swinging toward everything AI, everything artificial, everything like manufactured, right? And then at some point, hopefully, the human species will go, I really want authentic, really want to see an artist draw something.
Exactly.
I really want connection with people. And hopefully that pendulum doesn't swing too far, that irreparable damage is done to generations coming up. But, if that pendulum swings back, which I would like to see, then we have that connection. I'm starting to feel personally like I want to connect with people more. I'm behind that screen all the time.
Yep.
I do get out and see my clients and whatnot, but it's not necessarily in passing, but it's very quick and rushed. And we're trying to do things just because we're on timelines. I would like to slow things down a little bit. And I feel that kind of in my core, like we need to be back this way. So, but that pendulum's probably going to swing a little bit higher before that happens. So
this is something kind of related, kind of not. So this has nothing to do with AI, but industry as a whole. I don't know if you guys have noticed the last 4 or 5 years, the quality of items has gone down substantially. And I'm like, dang, I mean, this dress is $150 and it's all plastic. It's all polyester. I do not see a lot of quality anymore. And even sites that I used to really trust and get stuff from, I'm like, oh, there's just no craftsmanship. There's no quality. And the prices are not reflecting that either. So I'm like, I am happy to pay a higher price for something that is, high quality, ethically sourced, doesn't use child labor, that kind of thing. Because right now I'm like, everything is just so the opposite. I think some of these corporations are trying to see how much can we get rid of. I mean, I don't know have you guys tried a Reese's lately? That chocolate tastes weird.
It tastes different.
like stuff is just tasting weird and looking weird and the quality's not there. So I'm hoping that we're kind of getting to the end for the pendulum for that, because I've noticed it for a while, but I'm starting to hear people talk about it a lot more about like, why are our groceries smaller, less good quality, and more expensive?
Yeah. And to that, even to the service-based component, like you were just saying with the remarks, right? People throw in some photos. As a real estate agent, they have ChatGPT kick out some remarks, which I've never done. Like I've taken my remarks and put it in and said, maybe can you clean this up a little bit?
Yeah, that's what I do too.
But I've never just asked for it to create my remarks on a property.
Right.
But you're seeing that all over. There are people doing that time. Constantly.
Yep.
So that's a degradation of the service component that a true realtor and professional brings to the table. So then that begs the question, are clients going to want that authenticity? Kind of full circle back to this situation where AI, is making a big move into the industry and all industries across the board. Are people going to say that's a wonderful tool, it's going to enhance what we're doing, or are they trying to use it to replace and are okay with a lower service component? Now, in this particular instance, this Robert, one of the things that he didn't factor in was, actually meeting people face to face. he was going to do an open house on his property. I think he sold it before his open house. I think he still went through and did that. But that's a huge component, right? That you can't get rid of necessarily at this stage in our lives. You actually have to physically walk people through the property. You have to connect with people. You have to talk to them about the AI can't necessarily read the room, right?
Right.
And so those components come into play. So yeah, it set up a lot of tools, but then the human factor, I still think, is at the core of what we do. And I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think the reading the room is exactly the point. I mean, I just had a deal the other day where my sellers were going to take an offer, and I said, I think they'll go higher. I was like, I think we could get them up quite a bit, actually, just from the vibe, just from the feeling that I had from talking to the other person on the phone. And they're like, okay, well, if you think you can. I was like, I really do think so. And yep, sure enough, got it up quite a bit, actually. So, but again, on paper, seemed like a pretty good deal. ChatGPT probably would have been like, it's a good deal because on paper it was, but just the feeling on the other side.
That's why I think like with AI, it's good to help assist. Like when you think about maybe doing cancer research or something, they can look at patterns and numbers and certain things and analyze them in a way that maybe a human brain can't, and come up with some common things that we should be looking at. So I think when you talk about research or things like that, it is absolutely fantastic in helping us do better. But that is a perfect example right there. How many times have you worked with someone, maybe even for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then you start, they say something and you start saying, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is you actually want this, this, or this. And maybe that's never what they've told you, but maybe now that human connection is helping us, we're seeing how we can serve them better and what they're really after. And a machine is never going to be able to do that. They're never going to have that connection. They're never going to know those things and be able to read the room and say, I'm feeling like this is becoming too much for you at this point. Or I'm feeling like, maybe you're, stretching your budget a little bit too much. That's why you're not making the decision, or, whatever it is. But we can read things in people having a human connection that they will never be able to
stop.
do.
They don't want them to stop. You don't want the no. There's no such thing as no.
Right.
It's trying to get the sale, right? And if that's what the program is set to do, you're missing a whole aspect of real estate.
Exactly. And we are not programmed to do that. We are not taught to do that. We're here actually to facilitate someone's needs. And maybe there's not a sale there, or maybe there is. And what they're expressing to us is coming from a completely different angle of what we need to be seeing to make it happen for them. Yeah. They'll never overcome that. I mean, I think AI is a fantastic tool. Like I said, we use it to do the mind, brain power stuff that a human just maybe can't do without years and years of research. They can just do in minutes, which is fantastic.
And I think it's great. Like, maybe you kind of like what you're saying, Ben, you have the basics for your listing description, but maybe obviously not you, but like, I think of like my son, he's dyslexic. He would have that would be a really hard aspect of the job for him.
Yeah.
If he could put in the basics and it came through and then he just had to like fine tune it. Yeah. That's a great resource. I'm not, crapping all over it. I think it's great, but also, I don't know how I feel about it yet.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to take over
ads and tried to fine tune them 10 times over, and I'm not getting the right flow. And you just stick your thing in there and it might move a couple of paragraphs around. You're like, there it is. That sounds like it should be written.
Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think hugely helpful with things like that.
Yeah. Well, and there is an example right now. In fact, Ryan Serhant, he's a realtor in
New
York in Manhattan. And he had a $50 million deal. And guess what? He got AI. Well, AI involved was working with the buyer and the seller. So each principal in the transaction had AI involved. And it almost killed the deal because AI was telling the buyer that this is too much money for this property. And AI was telling the seller, you're not getting enough for this property, right? So they're geared to support your ambitions and not necessarily reflective of the reality that is taking place. And so he had to intervene with the AI component and save the deal because people got hyper-focused on what AI was saying and that this is the gospel truth, right? And it's in that situation, it's the truth on both sides. So what is the real truth? And the reality is they want to get the deal done But that was impeding the process.
We had that example Shannon was using earlier where ChatGPT was giving information that it thought was true, but it wasn't actually reflective of what was actually happening. And we had put in, no, it's actually this because of this. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. It is because of that. But I just can't see this, like the back end stuff. So it doesn't disagree with you whenever you even correct it. It's like, oh yeah, you're right, but I don't have the information. Then why are you giving the information to begin with if you don't have the information?
Because people believe that is fact. It came from AI. It cannot make a mistake. And this is why it's so scary these days, AI with children.
Yes.
Because children are interacting from their mindset and they're expecting guidance, and they're getting guidance from someone who wants to support whatever it is that they're thinking.
Whereas
they might need a parent in there. And I know this is off the subject of real estate.
No, it's totally relevant.
But they may need a parent that says, hun, this is why we should be doing it this way. Or, I don't ever want you to start thinking that is true.
Yeah.
Whereas they probably need someone that could intervene and give them good information. This is why you've had a couple of kids. There's lawsuits now where children have actually taken their lives or made terrible mistakes because these AI bots have told them, they've reassured them that their way of thinking is right. They've actually helped them accomplish that goal that they were thinking. Whereas maybe they were just looking to find a little bit of comfort in the way that they were feeling.
Yeah.
And they were getting somebody that
you
encouraged
would when you're
it.
a kid.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And you really probably needed someone that loved you, lead you in a different direction.
Well, not just as a kid, as an adult. I mean, we think about if you think that everything in your life is hard, right? Then everything becomes hard.
Yeah,
like you'll find things in your consciousness that prove that you're right, that everything is hard in your life. So you take that to the next step. Now you have a tool that's sentient almost, right?
It feels sentient.
It feels sentient. Yeah. That is reinforcing whether that's a good belief or a bad belief. It doesn't matter what the belief is. It's reinforcing that belief.
Yeah, because it's a yes man. It's not there to disagree.
Yes, exactly. So there are some dangers there to be involved, especially when it comes to real estate, right? So now in that instance I just mentioned where you have a seller that, the AI is telling them, no, you can get more. This isn't a good price for this property. And the buyer saying it's too high priced. And this is what the data is telling me. Again, those things are tools, but the tools were interfering and impeding the process. The actual goal of the transaction was to get a fair
because
fair
the information they use is only good as the information that they get. And there's a lot of stuff on the internet. That's where they get it from. They get this data, but there's nobody there to say if that data is factual or not. There's no way for it to know.
That's true. Where does it all get scrubbed from? So let's take the next few minutes because we just have about 4 or 5 minutes left. Let's take the next few minutes. I want us to project ourselves forward 10 to 15 years. What does our industry look like in 10 or 15 years? How different is it than today? And I know that's a big ask. That's a big question. But what things are different about how we transact today versus 10 or 15 years from now? Either of you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot more self-selling tools out there. I do believe that. I think a lot of things are going that way. You can, that divorce, you can, pro se, you can go and represent yourself in those things now and buy packages where it will give you all the steps, and all the forms to fill out and things like that. So I do think there'll probably be more tools out there in the future that will help people do this if that's what they want to do. Still, I don't know if I would trust that because I wouldn't know. It's what you don't know that you have to worry about, and those things can only go so far. So I do think there'll be more tools for that. I don't think at the end of the day it'll replace us because there's still going to be those people that don't have the time and effort like the CEO you're talking about, that don't have that kind of ambition to be able to go out and put that kind of time into selling their house. They want to hire a professional, they want to turn it over, and they want to know the best job's being done. And I don't think we're going to get rid of that. But I do think there'll be more options for the people that are comfortable with it because there's going to be people that still want that. There are people now that for sale by own of their house. You know, they'll go on Zillow. They've got all the tools available to them and they're going to do it themselves. And that's okay. That's an option to them.
Here's an interesting stat with all these incredible AI tools and all these tools that we have online and all the information that's out there. For sale by owners have actually gone down. The number of for sale by owners have gone down over the last few years. And I think that's a testament to you have all the information.
Yeah.
Right. But how do you assimilate that information? How do you apply it to a strategy for yourself? And how do you achieve that goal? And then the big question is, do I even want to go down that road?
Yeah, because
I
you
want
think
to travel
about
that road.
20 years ago, a for sale by owner, all they had to do was put an ad in the paper and put a sign in the yard. Today, a for sale by owner has to be completely savvy on how to navigate all of those aspects out there on the internet of their advertising. How are they going to manage, Zillow and their
the syndication?
That's right. And how do you get it out to all these places? They're trying to figure out, can I put a QR code on my for sale sign? And it is way over their head.
For most people. Yep.
So 20 years ago, for sale by owner probably was easier. Today, I think people dig into it and they say, yeah, the tools are, disposal, but I don't know how to use them. I don't know how to use them properly. And I can pay somebody that can use all these.
Information overload. Yeah.
It is. It's too much.
Aspen, what do you see in the next 10 or 15 years? How do you see our industry changing for the client and the professional?
I agree with Shannon. I think there's going to be a lot more tools for people to do it themselves. But again, you can do for sale by owner now. Just like for taxes, you can do your own taxes. You don't have to pay anyone to do your taxes. I'm going to pay someone to do my taxes.
Absolutely.
Because even though I'm paying X amount, I'm getting back more than I'm paying them. So why wouldn't I do it? Same for homes sold by realtors. I think it was 25% more.
Right.
You can anticipate to make with a realtor instead of a for sale by owner. So if there's fees, okay, are those fees more than 25%? If not, then it makes sense to go with a realtor. So I think there will be more systems online. I think it's just so hard because unless there becomes like a central, federal, every house is this way. I mean, even just going from one town to the next, there's different rules that you wouldn't know unless you lived there or worked there. So I think I'm very savvy with technology, but I actually don't really like technology that much. I just kind of it's more of a pain to me than a help. I mean, I don't know if that's true. It's a huge help. I just don't, I like the personal aspect. So I can see it changing, but I think there's always going to be people that want to work with people rather than online. I mean, we're on screens all day long. Let's not add more to it. I would love to see AI take over some, menial jobs so people can focus on, if they're running the AI program, but then they can spend more time on art or go outside and go for a walk or whatever, pottery, whatever they want to do, learn an instrument. I would love to see AI take over some stuff, but I do not want to see AI take over people's jobs and then those people get let go. That's what I do not want to see. So I hope that doesn't end up being the case.
And I do see our industry probably, I do see a thinning of out of agents. I do see that the professionals, the ones that are making this their career, will probably rise to the top. And that the people that get into this business for one-off or two-offs are probably going to thin out over time. That's just my personal opinion on it. Because people are really seeking right now, we're really seeing a push of people wanting to work with professionals. And not to say the people that have just got into the business and the realtors that are trying to work their way through it and have closed a few transactions. This is not diminishing to them by any stretch because their heart is in the right spot. They're dedicated to their craft, their profession. Those realtors are going to be successful. I'm talking about the people that just kind of get in. I heard you can make a quick buck in real estate. Got my license, try to sell a house or two. No, I think those type of individuals are probably going to go by the wayside, and consumers and clients are really looking for professionals to hold their hand through the process because there's so much information and there's so many nuances that can change the entire direction. It's kind of like when you're walking on a sidewalk and you hit that little pebble and your leg twists and you stumble out into the street. Like the smallest thing in this industry can change the trajectory of a deal in a heartbeat. And you need a professional to guide you through that. So I just don't see AI replacing that component. But there are going to be more tools. I agree with you. There are going to be more selections for people to have maybe more of a la carte services or whatever else. It'll be interesting to see. Fantastic discussion. Thank you, ladies, for indulging me on that conversation. AI is here. It's not going away. How do we use it to enhance what we're already doing? How do we use it to help us serve our clients better? How do you use it as a person that's looking to buy or sell your real estate to enhance what you're doing and to help you achieve your strategy? We'll use it as a tool like any other tool. So great conversation. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment on what you think AI is going to transfer or how it's going to transfer or transition this industry, and what are going to be the main players in the next 10 or 15 years, and how does that play out? Leave some comments. We'd love to hear that. Of course, you can always go to sjcbroker.com and schedule a private consultation with any one of us here at the Lions Group. We'd love to sit down with you, whether you're buying or selling residential or commercial. We can give you an advantage in today's market. So thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. Until next time, we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning into The Den, powered by the Lions Group. If you got value from today's episode, hit subscribe so you never miss what's next. Check the show notes with direct links to our buyer and seller video series, your inside track to making smarter moves in real estate. Want to take it further? Visit sjcbroker.com to learn more about the Lions Group or schedule a private consultation today. Complex markets demand smart strategies. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, we're here to give you the edge. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in The Den.